Greetings, beloveds. This is poet educator Kamaya Lizette, representing for St. Lucia and the voice for PIFF all the way in London, UK. You are watching the PIFF Connection on Uccn TV.
Family, Hotel, peace and blessings. I greet you in the name of God and the ancestors, and whose footsteps I most humbly walk. This is Brother Ed Emoja for the PIFF Connection. Tonight we're doing this very special interview or conversation with a wonderful sister from our community. For those of you who are in the track and field world, you know who she is already, right? But for those who are not in the track and field world and maybe been living under a rock for the last 5 or 6 years, let us tell you a little bit about Sister Crystal Manning. One, she's an Olympian for the U.S. team. She's preparing herself for the next Olympics. She's an actor, and she does a lot of wonderful things with a lot of youth in the community. She's originally from Texas, but now she's out in the West Coast training for the next Olympics, and we're really wishing her well. So it is really special for me because I got to meet her a few years ago. She was one of my co-hosts on our radio show. And we did some wonderful things with her. She had some really nice guests, and it was like, so we built a relationship from there, and it has continued. And so now that we're getting ready to do a project in the Caribbean, you wouldn't believe it. She calls me and say, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? What you up to?" So I'm like, did someone tell her we're doing a film in the Caribbean that I don't know about? So now she is now part of the cast of The Bench. And we're really excited about having her on. Demetrius Charles, the writer director, he wrote a really good role for her, a really interesting role, and so we're looking forward to actually going to the Caribbean and shooting this hopefully very soon. So I'd like to welcome to the PIFF Connection, Sister Crystal Manning. Crystal, we just lost you. Let's see what's going on here. We just lost her for a second, so she'll be back. Like I was saying, she's actually working with us on this film production we're doing in the Caribbean, and we're really happy to have her on board. We expect to do some wonderful things with her. It's a reoccurring role that we have her in, and what we're going to do with her in this reoccurring role is actually, test her chops. We know she could triple jump over buildings and stuff like that. She could run around the building and take 3 steps and over 50 feet. So we know she could do all this cool stuff running, right? So jumping over lakes and rivers and doing her triple jump over all that wonderful stuff. So Crystal, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone.
So thank you so much for giving us some of your time. I know you're in training, getting yourself ready for the Olympics next year, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get into that part of your life, I'd like to take a little backstory on you for those young girls who are out there and they think they can't do it. Maybe when they hear your story and how you got started and what motivated you to keep on going to where now you are a U.S. Olympian. So let's talk a little bit about your background. Growing up, were you a sports person growing up? Were you into sports? Or what did you do growing up?
So my backstory is that I was basically trying to follow my oldest brother, and I tried to do everything that they did, both of my brothers. And so, if they played basketball, I wanted to play basketball. If they did karate, I wanted to do karate. And I just kind of wanted to do everything they did because I thought they were pretty awesome human beings that they still are. And so I just, got into sports from that. I played basketball, did AU basketball. It's my first sport. Well, actually, no, it was softball, figure skating, and then basketball. So softball, I was really, really good at it. I was really fast. I could get to the bases really well. And figure skating, I had really great balance. And then, basketball was just like one of those sports. I would be like the only girl at the court playing with all the guys and like people's dads and uncles fouling me, But it was really good experience doing sports, and I just always was like, oh, if he can do it, like my brothers or a guy or boys, I'd be like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it better. I always try to make myself really work hard, because I admired them so much and just wanted to be great.
Excuse me. I'm listening to you talking, and I don't have track and field. I had basketball, I had figure skating, softball.
Yeah, so I played basketball up until like in high school, and
Was
I
that
did
in Texas?
Yes, in Texas. And so with that sport, it led me to other things. The varsity basketball coach at MacArthur High School, which is where I attended, she was like, hey, Crystal, you should try out for the track team. And I did that. Once I tried out for the track team, it really worked in my favor as far as me being chosen for the varsity team as a freshman. So I tried out for the track team as a freshman, and then the varsity coach asked me would I would like to be a part of the track team, the varsity track team. And I was just like, really? Wow. I didn't know I was good or anything like that, but I ended up beating the girls that are on varsity in the 200-meter dash. And so that led me to, getting into track and field, and I got into a summer track program.
Okay.
And from that program with Donnie James, Coach Donnie James, he taught me everything, every event there is in track and ever was in track. And so it's pretty great experience training. I was in the suburbs, but I would travel to sunny South Dallas is what they call it. And I trained with a different type of demographic, but we all were from different demographics, the girls and guys, and we all just trained together and just worked really hard. It's very, really good. We had really good relays, really good, team work ethic, a lot of hard work, a lot of very extremely scorching hot summers. It was like 120 degrees at the track and extremely hot.
You were in Dallas, right? So it's hot.
Oh yeah, it was especially in South Dallas. It was extremely hot. So it was a really good experience. And what's made me stand out from all of the rest is that I would train 2 times a day. So people probably just finding out about 2-a-days a few years ago or so. But when I was 13 years old, I was doing 2-a-days, and that would set me apart from all of my competitors. And so at all of the events I've did in the nation, high school ranked in the nation, not just in the state of Texas, I was always ranked top 3 in every event I did. That's from the girls in Florida, the girls in New York, the girls in Philly, the girls in California, Louisiana.
Now, what year was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember the year.
No. But that's your high school. That was like what, senior year?
Yeah, I was
or
like in
junior
high school. It was like junior and senior year.
Okay.
And I really started. I was top 3. But the years before I was climbing to that, I had the list in the newspaper, and the Dallas Morning News had the list of all of the. You can also look at, excuse me, online.
So I'm listening to you talking. That's junior, senior year. So that means most likely you had a lot of colleges looking at you then, since you were so highly ranked in the nation.
Right. I could have went to every school. I actually just found when I went home recently. When I drove to Texas, I recently found a box full of letters that I never even opened from colleges. I was just opening from like Vanderbilt, different types of colleges that were offering me full athletic scholarships. And I ended up choosing to go to the University of Kansas on a full athletic scholarship, where I now am in the Hall of Fame there.
Oh, cool. University of Kansas. So was there a reason why you didn't open those letters, or something of this you just didn't get to them?
I honestly think my mom hid them because she was tired of coaches, a lot of people coming to the house. I believe that, it was kind of, because it was a point where it would be holidays and they would be in our living room. We can't leave and go with our families because they do the long speech and trying to build over a trust and, in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of why I should attend that university versus any of the other universities. And I think for me, the biggest thing is that you just have to trust your gut and your instincts on everything. And that's kind of what I do in life. I trust my gut and instinct on everything. And that's how I move forward, because God gave me instincts, the prayer, and everything, you know. And most of the time, my instincts tell me everything about, you know, that happens. And so I made a good choice by going to the University of Kansas under
That's
the
the Jayhawks,
leadership.
right? If I remember correctly. So the
Yes,
Jayhawks.
the
Okay.
Jayhawks under the leadership of Stanley Redwine and Mylan Dunley, who recruited me. And I ended up coaching under Wayne Pate once Mylan Dunley took the position
Okay.
as the
So let me ask you a question on that. Before we
there.
get to college, let's talk about high school, because there's a lot of young girls who are in the position you were in when you were in high school. When you were in high school, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on them. They might not have a they might not have a supportive group like you had around you. You know, you had your brothers, you had your mom and stuff. So you're just talking about, what would you say to young girls who are in athletics, not just track and field, but what would you say to them? And they have so many people knocking on their doors, trying to get them to come to the college. What would you, who went through this, what would you say to them at this point in their lives as juniors, seniors in high school? And they have a lot of people coming after them to to be in their school.
I would just say pray about everything and trust your gut or your instinct. If a coach or someone doesn't feel right in your gut, they make you feel uncomfortable or anything like that, then you would not want to go there. Do your research, due diligence, and for you to be great, know that, you know, no one was there, you know. I mean, I had people pushing me, but I actually had to do the work myself. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I made sure I was focused. I didn't necessarily have a social life at all, but I was very successful in everything I did. And so
Okay.
you have to make choices, and what you get, what you focus on. So focus on what you want. I tell my nephew every day, he's like the top ranked point guard in the nation in his class because of what I tell him. Stay
Well,
focused, do extra work.
mhm.
And so he's had so many articles written about him already, and he's not even a senior yet.
Wow. So you just said a word just now, and when people use that word, I like to go back to it, because sometimes our young people don't know what that means. When you say, let's talk about what you did. You said do your research. You said do the
Research.
research. So
Hmm.
what kind of,
Oh, yeah.
let's help them with that, because sometimes we tell them do research and they're like, what's research? So
Well,
what
for
do
me,
yeah.
yeah, for me, I always looked at, like, for the universities, I'm going to be honest, I basically researched to make sure that the coaches or anything can have any, you know, anything going on. I know it was a lot of like things going on with some of the universities then, which is like drugs, scandals or deaths or anything that didn't seem right or sit well with my soul. There are some universities where the coaches were administering drugs to the athletes. There are some universities where it was, you know, lawsuits. I look at different things. Plus, I have a background in law. And so I just literally looked at that. I looked at the coaches and who they coached. Um, yeah, just like if my event, how did they, you know, how
Mhm.
many Big 12 champions they have, or I looked at just different,
I
like
guess
different,
they could now,
if they
now in the
had
20,
if the
they
coach,
could Google,
yeah,
yeah.
if they coach, I mean, if the coaches coach someone in my event, how did they coach them? What were they success rate? I look at different things like that. I also look at the food, the living. How is the living? I didn't want to live in co-ed necessarily. Like, if it is, it's split, like where the women are all together and not just men and women living, or just making sure also having my own space. I ended up could not have a roommate, and eventually, just like the roommate situation, and especially right now with COVID, you don't necessarily want a roommate, you know. You want to live by yourself, and making sure that's an option, and the money is there. They're going to give you money and your worth. The food, and how is the food in a dining hall, and how long does it take to you to get from the building to the class? Is it timely? How about the professors? Research the professors, do a lot of research, ask a lot of questions. Why would, you know, is you can also see if you know, if a coach, let's say if a coach brings in a freshman class is really well, and then how is that progressed? Do they progress better throughout the years, or do they just go down and never ever be successful? And I know that sometimes that freshman year you go backwards, and then like the junior year you're learning, and then like you'll learn how to run better, and then the junior year or sophomore year you'll get a little better. But if you just never ever come up from like your high school and you were always good, it's something not necessarily right with the program, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
So if like, I know a lot of schools, like girls or guys will go to the school just so they could go pro, like in the NBA, like, I'm only going to be here for a year. Just kind of making sure like that program supports academically. What if you want to come back and get your scholarship and finish? Will they allow you to come back? Just kind of things like that.
Okay, no, that's right. No, thank you for saying that. No, the reason I asked you that, so that way, at least, you put some ideas into their heads, because some of them might not have the support system around them to give them that, what some of the questions they might ask. And so by you saying that, and you've been through it already. So you're not like someone who's just saying stuff. You're talking from your perspective. You've been through the experience of being a top recruiting athlete in some of your high school days into college. So that's very. And then you went to a top rank. You went to the University of Kansas. Jayhawks is known as a top school. So I wanted you to answer that question, because I wanted the young people, or maybe even their parents who are watching, some of the questions they might want to ask, they don't know.
Right. And also, I'll have to change my light. Also, I would say that, NCAA clearinghouse is something that the student counselors don't tell the student athletes about. And I had people that were in my class that played on the football team, let's say at another school. There were twins, I remember. And they were not able to utilize the scholarship offers they had because they were not registered on NCAA clearinghouse, which is where all of the student athletes need to be if they want to go to school and play college
sports.
Sports, exactly. And so my nephew found out my nephew was, and I'm like, oh no, we have to get you on NCAA clearinghouse immediately, because a lot of things like, what is that? Oh, I'm registered. It tells you, are you taking the main prerequisite classes for college? Do your advisor, your student counselor in your high school, have you taken the right classes in order to graduate? Let's say you have to take algebra 1 and algebra 2, and you're in, algebra 5, not in the correct algebra classes or geometry classes that are the main classes that are accepted throughout all the universities. Excuse me.
No problem. No, thank you for saying that. Let's get into now. When you went to college, when did you fall in love, or when did the triple jump become your baby? Because obviously you were doing a lot of you're doing track and field. So we know you as the number one person in the U.S. with the triple jump, and number 10 in the world, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when did the triple jump become your goal baby?
Well, I guess it's kind of one of those things that I was doing the heptathlon, and doing that event was very strenuous on my body, as well as doing like the relay as well, and also doing long jump individual outside of the hip. So if I was a part of the relay, did the heptathlon, and it's kind of make you, okay, maybe I want to just kind of focus on one event, because I got points at the championships, but my scores or my, wasn't as well as I thought it could be. It was kind of mediocre jumps because I was doing so many. So I did like 7, 8, 9, maybe 9 events, one Big 12.
Okay. Which is a lot.
And
Which is
so,
a lot. Which is a lot for
right.
you. Yeah.
So I just was like, maybe I want to be a sprinter jumper now. And but then too, you have to consider to realize it was just kind of like one of those things where I'm like, oh, I like once I finally got in the right position
Hmm.
for the triple jump, I was able to feel like I was in a flying position, like I was flying. And so once I got my second phase together, I was better. I felt more like, hey, and then honestly, it just kind of that event just took me to more places, it got me like more notoriety or you know.
Okay. Okay. No, I asked you that because I ask these questions from you to my guests sometimes because I'm always thinking that we who have gone ahead of others who are coming behind us, we need to give some messages for them, make the path better clear. Because here you are, you went to college on a full scholarship, the University of Kansas, and now you're in college on this scholarship. Definitely, you felt your body and what you wanted to do, and now you, like you said, you're doing so many different sports, so many different things in track and field, but then you felt that the triple jump was where you felt more comfortable. Am I saying that correctly?
Well, and yes, in a sense, it was just kind of like one of those things where, in college, it's kind of like you have to, your job is to get points at the Big 12. And
Mhm.
so
Now, when you say
I
get points, what do you mean by get points? For those who don't understand
score,
it.
score,
Mhm.
so your team can win. Just in the
Okay.
Olympics too. The Olympics is like that too, that you have like so many people can point to score,
Okay.
if that
Okay.
any sense.
No, I just want, because there's people who listening to us, who's watching this interview. They know what you're talking about, but then there's some people who might not know what you're talking about. That's why I asked you That's why I asked you that question. And
Right.
so,
No, that's fine. That's a
yeah.
great question.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
because I want it to be I want us to educate when we talk to our, because this is we're a global network, so we have people
Not
all over the world listening to watching and listening to us. So I want to make sure we give them something for them to go back and research, just in case they have a daughter, a niece like you in their home, in their family. They say, oh man, she's doing this in her head's Crystal Man, and she's an Olympian now. She did this, she sounds like my daughter, or she sounds like my sister, she sounds like my niece. Let me hear what she did, what she went through, and you're going to say something that's going to help them, you know, maneuver through those corridors that you did. So that's why it's so important having you on for me.
right.
So
Yeah. So
mhm,
yeah, my thing was like to go to I really wanted to focus on the 200-meter dash, but we didn't, like, you have to kind of go with what the coaches want you to do. They do respect what you want to do, but I also wanted to do the 200, the 100 and triple, but I kind of just was into the jumps because I actually did mainly focus on jumps. It's not anything regarding speed work, in college, as far as we did a little speed work, but it wasn't that event specific like what I was used to do in high school, if that makes sense. So I had to
mhm,
kind of be that into, and then the relays,
okay, okay.
because
No, no,
yeah,
thank you for saying that.
because
No,
because
mhm,
we did what did we do? We did like we would do like 300 a workout, and then it's just like you would run because you're in shape. It wasn't specific training, which is what I was used to. And so when I would run it, I wouldn't run as fast as I would. So I just
mhm,
kind of like got away from that event. And then in college, it's kind of like you have to have points. So if they already have a speed group, which I wasn't a part of training, they're going to put this person in this.
mhm.
And then you are going to do this event. And this is where we're going to get points here.
Gotcha.
It's almost like a game in a sense where we have this many people can get this points and this points here and this points. And we're going to focus these people on this and this and this.
Gotcha.
Does, yeah. So
Okay. So let's move on to, let's talk about, um now, what year did you go to the Olympics first? The first time you went to the
I went
Olympics?
to, I was a 2012 alternate I had I did not have the A standard, so I could not go.
Okay. So, but you
Hmm.
were an alternate.
Well, yeah. So once you select it, you get in the top, and then also for like world championships. This happened at world championships as well too, for making a team for worlds and not having the standard, not having the A standard. And so in the for track and field, like I could break that down for you. There is a national A standard and a national B standard. And then there's a world champion A standard and there's a B standard. And then there's Olympic A standard and a B standard. And so the standards you have to get in the national standard compared to the Olympic standard is completely different. But this year they made it up. This past year it was better because it made it realistic as far as basically if you don't have the standard, you won't make the national team. You won't make the Olympic team either. You won't make it to the National Olympic Trials, and you won't make it to the Olympics.
Okay.
You see? So let's say, yes, that's to make that understandable.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So
like,
I understand what you're saying. Well, yeah, I do understand what because I wasn't not like you, but I was in track and field when I was in high school and stuff like that. So I do, and then I did follow through a couple of stuff. So I do track and field is like was my baby. I love track and field. So as I'm listening, yeah.
So you saw like if you saw the standards of the Olympic record, and then it's like the standard, and so that's why last year was so impactful for me, and the year before that, as far as my speed training and in my jump training, and then what I did as far as being invited into the 4x1 relay pool for Team USA, and also, being top ranked in the triple jump, which, that was astronomical for me being, who I am.
Right.
Just, shocker. because I ran the relay in so long, and just to run a fast 100 time early last year and the year before last put me in that position, to run for my country. And so, which I explained to you personally, hey, I'm training in a speed group, and it's very extremely strenuous work. Yeah. But what it is there's no doubt that I won't be able to finish the 100 in a specific time of my goal, that I will have the Olympic A standard in the 100 now.
All right.
I will have the Olympic A standard in the triple.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you a question. So, and then for those who are listening, you hear talking about the standards, and this is definitely something you could Google, you could look it up if you wasn't aware of it before. And so for the parents or the grandparents or the uncles or aunts who have young people, family members who are in the sporting world, it's definitely something you could Google and check it out. We'll see what she's talking about, because sometimes, we don't know about all those little rules and regulations that's in there. And then when we get there, it's like, oh, I didn't know that. So definitely do your homework, Google it, and and if you're in the sport and you have talk to your coaches, ask your coaches about it. Your coaches should know. If they train, they should know. They could break it down for you. And if they're looking for if you're looking for your children to go to certain colleges, talk to them about that. Because a lot of parents don't know about that. A lot of aunts and uncles don't know. Unless you're in that world, there's so much that you don't know. Unless you're in the world, then you know it. So yeah, so that's something we have to look at, because then you get thrown in there, and all of a sudden you're like, you feel lost. And I'm glad you're bringing that up.
Right. You feel, and it's one of those things where I did not know about it in high school. I did not know about the Olympic standard. I did not know about the national standard. I just knew I was just trying to run as fast as I could and jump as far as I could. I did not know until, I started, basically training at the training center with Coach Al Joyner. And once I was training with him, and I learned so much about the rules, the regulations, and the national ranking for amongst the tiers. There's certain tiers to pro athletes that certain tiers. This, I believe it's like 4 tiers, and there's different aspects in as far as our insurance, our like even our USA cards now, learning that they have the insurance on them, and just different things that it was, I think, like a few years ago, that if you weren't in a certain tier, you could not use the medical insurance, and just
So you're
things
talking
in
about
general.
you're talking about what Magic Johnson used to talk about. I remember Magic used to say when he was on the court he was playing basketball, but when he got off he put his suit and tie. He took care of business. So you're talking about the business side of what the card. This is
Right.
something
The
I know
business.
Magic Johnson spoke about that because I'm up in the age group with Magic. I'm a little older than him, but I do remember him talking about that when he was playing for the Lakers about how he took care of business when he got off the basketball court. And a lot of
Right.
people, you see a lot of basketball players get lost in that world because they just don't put the one and that together. So what you're talking
Right.
about is the business side of your sport, making sure all those things are, you have all your ducks in line.
Right. And I learned the hard way one time, where I had just so much, and it was personal things that were going on. I'm like, okay, it doesn't even matter. And that's what you have to realize. Like, this is a business at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
regardless of whatever's going on, you have to make sure you register on time. There's things
Hmm.
on there where you have to not verify, but um, once you go in for a national meet, I forgot what it's called. Declare. It's called declare. You have to declare to confirm that you're going to be in, and it's like certain window dates. And then you can register yourself in. And then, like, if you don't declare or register, and then you're like, oh, you try to go on and you miss a date. Oh, well, it's too late.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
certain date windows you have to set reminders on your phone to do. And even also with the USADA anti-doping drug agency testing, where they have a window where you're tested, you know, for an hour. And my times was 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. every morning. You have to put where you are going to be at. If you go to like another state or another city or another town, to a hotel or out the country, you have to put that address, that hotel room number, or that apartment number, and that house number. Let's say if I was to go back to Texas, or if I was in St. Lucia, like, you have to put exactly where you are every day for 365 days
They keep a
and
track.
go through
Yeah,
and go
because
through.
it's a business for them. It's a business, and they're looking at they're looking at you as an asset in their business, and how they gonna maximize that stuff. So I do understand that.
I I respect it, because there's so many people that have been in our sport where they were using drugs. And so if they could do random tests, then so many people have gotten caught that, that'll protect the athletes that are not using drugs, USADA anti
Yeah, I mean,
dope.
so because I remember when you and I when we were talking about you coming to St. Lucia to be in the bench, I was like, I wonder what she has to go through to because to come and stuff like that. Well, who does she have to? I said that to myself because I just know I've been around people in athletics and I just know how they keep a eye on you. Mostly now of all the stuff going on, what does she have to
Right.
do to come to St. Lucia and stuff on top of everything else?
Yes. But yes, so it's a lot of different things. And also making sure I accommodate my training with my coach and check in, and making sure I'm still on the track with my coaches, and then with myself, and what I need to do and eat, and things and snacks and things I need to travel with, and making sure, I'm still training. Even though if I was to work, I would still have to be training on the days of filming. And that goes for any of the projects I've done in the past. On those days I filmed for Queen of the South TV show, or Second Chance TV show with Fox Network, and Queen of the South was with USA Network. I had to still train that day. Even if that was a 12-hour day on set, I still had to do my workout. So
Yeah, I know you and I spoke about that when you're talking about coming to St. Lucia. Thank you so much, you and your manager, Miss Antoinette, for helping put that together and get the whole thing set up for you to come to St. Lucia and stuff like that. That was really nice of
yeah,
you two
thank
to
you,
help us with that.
Antoinette.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Antoinette she's really cool, and thank you, Sister Titus, Antoinette Titus. Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
that just confirms to me and to people who are listening, you have a team around you. and you have a team to help you stay on point, because getting to the Olympics is not an easy thing. It's a challenge. It's a lot of dedication and sacrifice that you have to do to get to that. So when you told me you were interested in coming to St. Lucia to work on the bench with us, I was like, whoa. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much, and thank you so much for calling that and putting yourself out there for us. We really appreciate it. That was really special. So I do hope we're able to get the project back on track, and before you go into full blown training for the Olympics. The Olympics is next year, right? 2021. Is that what they moved it
Yes,
to?
yes. And so, yes, we actually, yes, it is 2021. So, yes, we do have, I'm like I said, any project I do or any project I'm up for right now, got invited to do some really, invited to do a private audition for a major feature film. And I can't, it's a private project. I can't speak on it right now, but,
I understand.
even on certain days of that project or any other projects of the film in London or whatever, I'm also, like I said, training, because you have to stay dedicated to what's
Yeah.
first, what
Oh yeah,
comes first.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And that is the the gist of me. And that's why I've never been, I've always, this is pretty much my life after track and field, is the writing. And I
Hmm.
have another project, two projects I'm working on, I'm writing on. And also, in my downtime from training, and I'll say to young people that, do not get complacent. Don't try to, if you have an interest and if you have an interest in something else, don't think you're limited to that one thing. It's okay to do other things. Just make sure you
Yeah.
have a balance with it and it's not taken away from, this one shot you have. Let's say, like, I'm always going to make sure that everything is for track and field is put first, is my training, get my trainings out the way, as far as like what I need to do, what I need to eat, what type of foods I have to have, on set. Most of the time they have food provided, making sure I'm still in my dieting and things like that. And I
Yeah.
also feel like right now, I would say to young people, a lot of people like get down on like social media or cyberbullying and things like that. Just stay away from it. You don't necessarily have to get involved in social media so much and get based on followers and likes and things like that, because as long as you know you're great, then don't worry about that. And I would say that because I had some young people I worked with that, that I like helped or gave them mentorship that had problems with social media. And so I just encourage them to.
So yeah, let me from that. Yeah, they have to be very careful, because there's so much stuff up there to distract you. All you need is one distraction to throw you off, and a little bump to throw you off, because running 8.99 and running 8.93 is a big difference.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is. And that's why you have to get a good night rest, and you can't try to party. I know like some people are like that. And I had a coach, I remember his name. I can't think of his name, but he would say to his throwers, he was like a throw coach at the Olympic Training Center. He would say, if they say, coach, text me, let me know. We have a really good communicative relationship. If they say, hey, coach, I was out all night, it's not going to be a good day, then I'm like, okay, then you need to rest, because today's going to be a really hard day. But just making sure you take in consideration that you can't do everything like your friends and not
Yeah.
don't have goals as you. You have to set yourself apart from other people. And sometimes that may be, like sometimes it may get lonely, and sometimes you have to, your friends have to accept that they're going to be part-time friends in your life. And that's what
Yeah.
I had
Hmm.
with a
Yeah.
lot of my friends, because a lot of my friends aren't athletes. They may be into different things, but I respect everything that they do and they respect everything I do. So they appreciate me. Okay, can't be out late. I have to go train. I have to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 4:30, whatever time I have to be. They respect that, and just making sure you put yourself around the right people
Yeah.
who are to bring you closer to your goals, not take you away. Because there's a lot of people that pretend like they or for you, but they're really against you.
Yeah. I mean, that's, what you said is so true because, if you are a basketball player, you're going to hang around other basketball players. You're not necessarily going to go hang out with the hockey players or the football players. You're going to hang out with the basketball players so that way you could get to know how to fine tune yourself to be the best in basketball. And
Right.
so, if you are an athlete and you're trained to be an Olympian, you're gonna go hang out with people who are trained for the same thing. So that way, everyone's mindset is in the same place. You're not gonna go hang out with your friends who are just playing pickup basketball, because pickup basketball and training for the Olympics is totally two different things. So you want to
Right.
make sure you surround yourself with people who have the same mindset that you
Yeah.
have.
Like-minded individuals,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So you want to make
'Cause
that
that's-
very and that's why when I always text you or I text Antoinette, because I know you're going through that mind. You're preparing yourself, and when you said to me you're going to come to St. Lucia to do the bench with us, I was like, okay, what do we need to do? And I said to you, I said, what do you need from us? I said that to you several times. I said, what do you need from us to come to make it down there? Because I know you were, your training, your food, your diet, and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, we got to make sure we don't throw you off because for our project we gotta make sure it fits into what you're doing, and that was a big thing for me. So that was on my to-do list when I get to St. Lucia, to talk to the hotel about your diet, talk to them about what she needs to do for the few days that she's down, because one day could throw everything off, and we know that.
Mhm.
And so that was on my to-do list already, and I even my personal assistant, I told her about that. I said we gotta make sure we get everything right for her, because we want her to win gold. Okay, we're not
Oh,
going for we're not going for silver. We're going for
yes.
gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all it's so crazy because I learned so much about like appreciating different people in every aspect of avenue of what they do, but
Mhm.
making sure, like you said, still staying around, making sure around like those people that are athletes, Olympic athletes, or
Yeah.
my group just getting advice. Hey, what do you do for this? Or I'm like, hey, I take this. Or if you have an injury, you rub this on you. Or there's this type of, ice massage or this and different things that contrast, making sure you contrast Epsom salt, just getting different feedbacks. Because sometimes the athlete aspect that you can't get from, someone else is not saying that you can't be friends with everybody. Just kind of like watch who your circle is, and you could be cool and cordial and friends with everybody, but it's just like another type of thing where you could get advice from somebody in your same field, and that's kind of like what it is.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
saying that nobody, it's not saying that you have to be selective. I mean, you do have to be selective of your friends, but it doesn't mean that everybody has, all your friends have to be in the same exact sport as you. It's just that you want to like communicate with other people in your sport to kind of get
Yeah.
like ideas of recovery, and the different, and communicate with the
Right.
coaches
Right.
about
Right.
recovery, and
So let me let
yeah.
me ask let me ask you a question. Okay. Now you were alternate in 2012, right?
Yes,
Am I
sir.
saying okay? So how did you feel about your training and everything? Now that you made it to an alternate, how did you feel that you were right there as an alternate? That must have did that how did that what did that do for you as an
It,
athlete?
more so it felt good to know that, like, oh, I just got to get the ace, and it's me chasing that standard. But one thing I found out is that once I was in Vegas and I had a flat tire in my cousin's vehicle. He let me drive his vehicle when I was visiting my cousin in Vegas. And it's kind of like one of those things. He said he knew that the tire was need to be the tires needed to be changed, but he didn't do anything about the tire. He was like, oh, I kept putting it off. And it's kind of like one of those things. By the time I got the car, family visiting, he forgot that he needs to replace the tires, and the tires went flat. It's kind of like one of those things. You have to take care of business and don't let business take care of you. Because here I am having to chase something that I didn't have yet. And it just kind of felt grueling, and it was in a sense of like one of those things like, man, I'm work so hard to where I don't have to chase anything. I'm already have it. I'm have it done
Mhm.
immediately. And that's
Yeah.
why I've done so hard. We're doing these crazy training sessions, and I and with my coach, and and I'm looking at my coach, and he's doing a workout too. My running coach, Willie Gold, and he, he's an actor
Is
too.
he talking about Willie Gold, the Olympian?
Yes, him.
Okay. Oh, that brother, he could fly. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my, oh my God. No, it's so,
I tell you, track and field is my baby. I love Willie Gold.
oh
Oh.
man, he's killing me in practice. And I told Antoinette, and I'm telling people, he's like so fast. I was like, I can't beat him in our sand sprints. And oh
Oh
my
man.
God, I just was like, wow. And I'm just like, man, you know how focused it is to be in shape and just like still motivated. I'm just like, hey, making sure I'm doing the right things for my event. I don't have to worry about anything,
Hmm.
and make sure every weakness I have right now is my strength. And that's what I'm working on with my trainer,
Hmm.
Paula. Thank you, Paula, so much for helping me. And she does like my training for my flexibility strength. And we've been doing that a lot. And which I lacked was flexibility strength. And so also just everything that's weak, whatever I have weak, I'm making it stronger. And that's like the basic thing that I could tell any athlete. Whatever your weakness is, if it's your arms, if it's your jump shot, if it's a crossover, just keep working on it as much as possible, because you will see a difference. But if you
Oh yeah.
just sit and think about like, oh my gosh, I need to change this, and you're not doing anything to change it, then you're going to be stuck. And I feel like part of what I learned listening to a speech that um, Chadwick Boseman said is that, you have a purpose, and sometimes that purpose may take you to different avenues, and be okay with that. And so for me, when my purpose is, for track and field, making sure that is strong and weak, and also with acting, making sure as I'm reading my lines, it's so real to where it's like I'm talking to a person. No one know I'm acting. It's just like, hey, I'm, my acting, making sure it's like, oh, bad acting, but making sure I deliver those lines like it's real. And
Hmm.
I've had so many people, which is shocking, when I did my stage play called We Woke, and I played the great Isabel Cottrell, co-owner of Proline Hair Corporation, and she was co-owner of Texas Rangers. She was the founding member of the Dallas Cowboys. Just a lot of greatness she's done in the community, gave out so many scholarships, just playing her character. The people was like, oh my gosh, you did so good delivering. I was just really nervous, about that role, because
Yeah.
and it's not
I'm with
that I
you.
have any plays. It's just like people like, oh, they'll second guess me because I'm an athlete on my delivery. Even what I'm going through now with this London thing, I saw comments on some people, oh yeah, she's not a real actor. She's an athlete, and it's just like, okay, let's see when this delivery comes around. It's just like making sure it's so real. And I know some people are acting and they they're on TV and they just sound like they're reading lines.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
And
I'm with you. I watch a lot of stuff, and my wife and all, we be like, okay, not mentioning any
right.
names. Yeah. So let me ask you something. Okay, let's. Okay, you're getting ready for 2021. Um, what's your goal? Because I want people to support where you're going. What's your goal for 2021? Your process for your goals for 2021. We know that you. What are you looking at, girl? Come
relay
on.
relay pool, back in relay pool, just run a crazy, crazy time this year. Once I do my first meet, then I'm gonna put my first meet goal. And I don't have it yet because I've just been kind of talking to like coaches like, hey, if I run this in practice, what do you think I can run? I haven't been at that space where we're on the track, we're just on sand and grass right now, to see like what should carry over, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
then
got
once
you.
I have to shoot, but basically the relay pool and also the triple jump, and just making sure that the phase, which what I was working on is going low, and I was going too high. So I was going too high, which was cutting off of my jump. Now I'm
So
back going
right.
low. So I would go like jump so high in each phase where I'm like trying to take a layup. And it was
Hmm.
like, okay, you need to go more out instead of,
Out. Yeah. Yeah.
and just so anyways, make a long story short, I'm stronger with the speed. The athleticism right now is just the triple jump to get that, and I know I can, and
Okay.
as well as the relay. And if possible, a running event, whether that's the one or two. And I'm just trying to see, like, how will I be able to do it? I need to get the schedule to see how the days the breakdown of the days, because you have to last through all the rounds. But with the training I've been doing, I know that I can.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
With COVID-19 and what's going on with the COVID, how has that impacted the competition, the tournaments and stuff like that, and your training? How has that been impacted by COVID-19?
I can be completely honest with you. I get emails from the US OC quite often, like almost every day, and they give us updates. That they told us in the email that regardless of COVID-19 still here, they're going to have the Olympics regardless. And
Okay.
so with the competitions, that's the only thing that's really have halted is the competition. So I'm reaching out and trying to see the organization, US Track and Field, although the meets have halted, are you guys going to put on any competition? Who has competitions? I know there are meets in like Europe right now, and I know throughout the season in Jamaica and different places like that, at different places, we're still having the competitions go on, and we
Yeah,
were
right.
just wondering why didn't the competitions, all of the competitions in the United States, they were so accessible, stop, versus the ones in the different countries that were open, but then there were border shutdowns. So if you weren't already over there,
You couldn't get in.
you couldn't get over there.
Yeah.
And so
No, I asked you that question because I'm looking at, like, the NFL is playing football, and they are a contact sport. Track and field is not a contact sport. Basketball played in a bubble, they're a contact sport. Track and field is not a contact sport like that. So I was saying, have the track and field association or the federation have made it to where you guys could get back into your competition, because you running track and field really is not a contact sport like NFL and
no,
NBA. So you guys should be out there. So that's why I'm asking that question as a fan of
I
track and
I
field.
I honestly could tell you this, that I don't know exactly which way they're going. And everyone, I know, like, you have your reason, I will have my reason about what they should do. But I think what it is they're being extremely cautious. And regardless of if it's contact or not,
Hmm.
that, with track and field, it could be like maybe 20 heats of the 100 and 20 heats of the 200. So it's always so many people gathered together in that small space. But if they limit a cutoff and say, hey, only this many people could be and the lanes are open, which I saw a competition this past summer, where the lanes where every other person was in
Okay.
a lane,
Lane.
but they have, and so, but it's just kind of up to USA Track and Field, I would say, because and they just want everyone to be safe, if anything.
Oh,
And
definitely.
the
Yeah.
American Track League in Atlanta did have meets, and I saw what they did with the jumps. They asked people to bring their own torps, and shout out to American Track League for, still putting on a competition during COVID-19, but
Yeah.
making sure
Mhm.
you could, I guess they were saying, like, I could buy a torp at like Home Depot and put it down to land in
Mhm.
for all of the jumpers, and then you just pick it up.
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
yeah, no, I asked you that question because I see what the NFL did, and I'm like, the NFL is a hardcore contact sport. Okay, basketball is a hardcore contact sport, and I see what they did to get the athletes back on the back on the field and back on the court. So I'm like, okay, someone in the NFL and the hierarchy of the NBA sat down and figured how to make this work. I'm saying they have to do the same thing in track and field and other sports, because you guys are not as contact as them, but there's ways to make it safer, to make it safe so you guys can get back out. Because I know for an athlete like you, I was never on your level of competition, but as an athlete, when you train for something so hard and you put so much time and effort into it, you want to go out and compete. You want to go compete, because you're like, and so you're talking about you do 2 days and all the stuff you're going to get yourself to that level, for Olympic level. You want to go out there and compete. You want to show the world, you want to show yourself that you
Exactly.
have reached that level of competition. You can compete and you can stand on that stage and be the best of the best. So I was just wondering, what was they doing to make sure you guys had the opportunity to get out there and do
So I honestly, I can't tell you. I don't know. But what I do know is that I honestly don't know. I don't. I can, research, and I saw a lot of things were closed. And what I do know is that I could just keep praying and ask God to open more doors for us to compete, but I'm going to keep training hard and remain optimistic about the competitions, and just, like I said, just keep going,
Yeah.
keep fighting. And I recommend everybody to stay in shape, in anybody, in any sport, even if it looks like it, just still stay doing what you're doing and be hopeful that everything would change. And that's kind of the
Yeah.
person, like, I don't have the necessarily say so in whether a, a competition could be open or not, but I will say that I believe something will open up to where it'll
Yeah.
be accessible for, because there was a meet at jump meet actually this December in Texas, but I'm not, in a necessarily jumping shape I would need to be, because I normally wouldn't jump until January or so.
Okay.
But they're like me, I can't go and try and just test it out just to see if I can get the mark if they do the competition. But what I wanted to do first was running, and then usually I'll run my first few meets, and then I would jump.
Okay.
And
What you keep saying about running? What are you running? What
the
what
60
this?
meter dash, the
Excuse me.
200-meter dash, and the 60-meter dash.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mhm. And triple
So
jump.
triple jump. So let me. I know we have you on for a minute, so thank you so much for your time tonight.
Oh,
I want to get into your other life you're working on, the other life that you and I are we're dancing at the hip at, and that's your acting career.
oh, nice.
you know, so you are adding and you're transitioning some of your energies into the acting. Is there any particular roles you looking to play? It's like, on your bucket list for acting, is there any particular roles you would love to play?
I would love to play like the biopic of Diane Carroll, because I love her and everything she's
Okay.
about. She's really awesome.
Okay. Okay.
And
Yeah, let's ask you that because then I mean, we're talking a lot about the sports side of you and stuff like that, but I know you have other things on the fire with the acting, which I did not know until you called me and we were talking about the bench. I just know you as the athlete, and then when you called me and said, "Yeah, I'm doing this," I'm like, "What you doing, Ed?" I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "And thank you for calling." I mean, I tell people I felt really humbled that you took the time to call me because you were not on my list because I just had you as an athlete, and when you called me about the acting, I was like, "Hmm." And that's why I ran to my right. I said, "Write her into this script." It's like,
yeah, saying doing a bench, and I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm like, hey, but a lot of people, it's crazy because I think sometimes I post about like when I did the shows, and I had it on my old profile, which was, I had to create a new profile, which I got hacked out, and I think some of my acting things were on my other account, which I had to start a new account. But a lot of people call me like, hey, is this you? They'll take a
Mhm.
picture, like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, they're like, you acting? I'm like, yeah, but I don't really talk about it.
Well,
Because
you
my
need to
dad,
talk about it
uh,
some more. You never know. No, but it's really good to see you doing. I mean, I think that's a really plus for young girls who are out there seeing, like, you have different sides to what you do. You're not only just an athlete, you are doing other things, and then away from the camera, you're doing other things in your community. And that's very important that they see that, that see that side of you because, I, like I said, and I know you for a little bit, and I didn't know you were into acting until you called me, and, like, I was like, I was happy you still had my phone number.
oh
you
yeah,
know,
the cloud says everything. I think it was like from an old Facebook message from like the cloud, or
yeah,
it was in the Facebook message that
yeah.
we
Yeah,
had.
when you call, I had your number because your name popped up on my phone. But like I said, since I never thought of you as an actress, I never even thought of calling you. And that was the last. But so thank you so much for calling. Considering
Oh,
working with us, and
you're
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
everything
give
is.
give give out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Mhm.
Now I'm gonna say I want you to give out your contact information. Now you sent me something today about you and two other ladies going for one role. Now, is that something we could put out there? Is it because I know you were getting people to vote for you or something? Am I
Right.
saying that correctly? I don't
Right.
I don't want to put it out. It's not supposed to be out there, but you send it to me.
Yes, that can be out. But the project I said that I did submit for, it's about playing someone, a famous person, female, influential person. I can't speak on that
Okay.
role.
Yeah, but what you sent me, we could talk about what you sent me about, so people could
But
follow and
yes,
people could vote for you on that.
yes, please go to.
Go, you say it nice and slow. Okay, Crystal, say it nice and slow so people could get it and they could go and vote for you.
They can go to Instagram. Go to my account. My name on Instagram is Crystal Jumps.
Is that JUMPS?
Yes, CRYSTALJUMPS, and they would go there and they could look at my feed and they can see the stories where they would go to a shared link and vote for me, and I'm tagged in it too as well. And so what it is there's a feature film in London, and it's down to me for this role for Queen of Lies. It's a movie feature film, and it's a nonprofit that funds this funding through the film, and a few philanthropists are funding it. They've already funded the budget for the project, and right now I'm down to two other actresses, and for that role they need the girlfriend I will play, one of the lead's girlfriend. They need her to speak English, have an English accent. I'm like, oh, I'm American. They need to have the girl to have American accent. I'm like, oh, I'm an American. I will submit myself for this role, And so I'm like, and so once you submit, you'll see if they're interested in you based on your resume and your, bio, pictures, whatever. And once they responded back, they said that they were extremely interested and that it was me and two other actresses that they selected to be in the finals. And once that they vote on public vote basically, and so once they select my name, it'll be like out of two, and then we both go read lines.
Okay, so let's do this now. I want to make sure people get. So they need to go to your Instagram page, which is Crystal Jumps. And what do they do when they get there? So let's make sure we give them what they need to do. So when they go to your Instagram page, what do they do when they get to your Instagram page?
They need to go to the feed, my story feed, which is a little ring, and then that feed, it'll be there for about 20 more hours or so. And then also they can look at the tag posts. They click on that post that I posted, that I shared in my feed, and then they need to read the directions on that comment. Like in the caption, it says, put the actress name that you want to win to be a part of this film project. And we'll be filming 8 days in London. And if you put my name, Crystal Manning or Crystal Drew Manning, or tag Crystal Jumps, then they're going to select me the most at the think that the top two or whatever actresses they'll put, or the top one. And then we'll go based off of our reads.
Okay. No, I already went through and I did it already, so I already put mine in. So
yeah.
No, let me ask you. You said 20 hours. You said 20 more hours before this. So there's a deadline, a time deadline.
Like it's like, I don't know what their deadline is, but I've sent it to quite a few people, everybody in my network. I've been trying to send it to as many people as possible to explain to them what to do. And it's kind of hard too as well, because a lot of people aren't internet savvy, and a lot of people do not have Instagram, and so have to make that into consideration with that. And so just making sure that I break it down, that I don't think you have to have Instagram to comment my name, but you do need to know how to work the internet at least. And you can go and vote. If you have different accounts, I know a lot of people have different business accounts, that would help as much, and as well as sharing. People have different shares with their friends, amongst others, that I'm going up for the role, and it's an awesome project. It was something I love to do, as well as track and field. It's like track and field and acting, and so it's just be awesome if you guys could vote.
So Crystal, do me a favor. I know we almost done with you here. Send me that link. on my
Yeah.
Facebook page, and I could repost it again for the PIFF page and stuff like that, because we do have a lot of people who follow us, and there are people who support what I do. I mean, they actually like what I do. So thank you so much for liking what I do. So let's see if we could get them to support you, because, and for those who are listening, let me say this very carefully. For those who are listening, this young lady reached out to me to help me with the bench. I didn't reach out to her. She reached out to me because I have supported her in the past, and she wanted to come and support me. So it was going to be a really nice surprise to have her fly into St. Lucia and have a U.S. Olympian, a world athlete, come into St. Lucia for a few days to work on this project with us. We didn't tell people about it when we were doing it, because we were making sure we had all our I's dotted and all our T's crossed to make it. So if you like what PIFF is doing, what UCCI is doing, I would like you to please go and support her, because she has come in to PIFF to support PIFF by putting her name behind PIFF. And she's a world-class athlete, and she put her name behind PIFF to come into the bench to work on the bench with us. So I'm asking everyone who supports PIFF and who likes what we're doing with PIFF, please support her. She's going to send me the link tonight. I'm going to put it on the PIFF page. I need you all to go and click and vote for her. That I'm saying, as president and founder of PIFF UCCI, I need you all to support her, because if she could fly all the way from California, and we had she said yes already. She said everything. She signed off on the paperwork and everything already. She was about to fly from California to St. Lucia for 4 days to shoot her part in the bench, and we made a recurring role for her so we could bring her back again and again. So if she made that commitment to us, I would like you all to make the commitment and support her in what she's doing. So Crystal's going to send me the link when we get off here. I'm going to put it on the PIFF page, and I need you guys to go support her. Please support her. I just want to say that because it's always important to me that people who support what I'm doing, that I come back and support them. And
Thank you.
like I said, you called me. I didn't call you because I wasn't looking at you as an actor. I was looking at you as an athlete. And you called me, and then we started talking, and then you said, yeah, I want to come and support what you're doing. I was like, thank you so much. So I just want to put that. So in closing, I know we had you on. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing? So we let you go, so you could send me that link and I could put it up. What would you like to say in closing?
Stay encouraged during this pandemic. I know it's a pandemic. Don't be fearful. God tell us, do not fear. Always have courage during this time. Accept the peace that God gave you. And remember that you're chosen, and nothing that you're doing is low or little or beneath. Just know that everybody has their own purpose, and whether that person owns a cleaning car company or a dealership, or a person is a housewife, or a person is a writer, no job on earth or purpose is bigger than the other. Everybody's job is big and immaculate, and we're all here on this earth to support each other. So continue to strive for greatness in whatever you do. Stay blessed, stay positive, and stay up. God is love.
Okay. Well, Crystal, thank you so much. Please send me that link as soon as you can when we get off here, so I could put it up tonight.
Yeah.
And because I know you're 3 hours behind me. You're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. But let's send it out now, because people are still up. People are still doing a lot of things right now. So let me get it out to them, to our global family down in the Caribbean, and those in Africa. I'm going to send it out to tell them to support you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. You have a nice night.
Yeah.
Okay, family, thank you so much for watching, and we will be supporting her as she goes through everything, and she's going to the Olympics next year. Yeah. So Crystal Manning, remember that name, family. Triple jump for the U.S. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Crystal. Good night.